Good afternoon, students. Today we will be discussing another very important topic from Unit 3, that is movements in India and abroad, revolutionary movements in India and abroad. And we will be discussing three major movements that happen in the country and in places where Indians had traveled, and also in one subtopic we are going to discuss few not very organized but revolutionary activities that happen within the country. So let's get started with it. First and foremost, we are going to discuss Swadeshi movement that happened in 1905. After 1905, when Bengal was partitioned, it was in agitation of the partition of Bengal. So after what had happened after partition of Bengal, a lot of agitation started developing around the lines of the moderates. However, they were more strong and they were in the noise in the idea of creating protest rather than just creating petitions and just creating a sort of favor for people to follow. From the middle 1905 and resulted in the discovery of boycotts of British goods as an effective weapon. So people started looking for other measures because they are now sick and tired of the methods that the moderates were using and which was not giving them any ultimate goals. So in the middle of 1905, a new method was discovered in which the British goods are going to be boycotted. This was for the first time being talked about in Krishna Kumar Mitra's newspaper called Sanjeevani on July 3rd, 1905. And later this idea was then incorporated by the leaders and by the intellectuals of Bengal. And on 7th August 1905, in the town hall, it was decided that this is going to be the next course of action in terms of their protest against the partition of Bengal. Rabindranath Tagore, Ramendra Sundar Trivedi, respectively, argued people to observe Raksha Bandhan, that is tying of Rakhi on hands of brother by sister. This would be a non-communal religious ceremony that they're going to do, which will transcend the ideas that Indians cannot be partitioned on the basis of religion. Every Indian is a brother and sister, and together they're going to fight. And another thing was, on the day of partition, Arandhan is to be celebrated. It's to be observed. Now, Arandhan is when you have a death in your family and you mourn for it. You do not light the hearth. That is, you don't light the chula of your house. That shows that the entire household is going to mourn on the death of somebody very beloved. So on the day of partition, it was decided that entire Bengal territory is going to follow this ceremony to mark the mourning of their heart of being partitioned, of being killed, of being somebody taking away from them. So these were the phase through which Swadeshi movement's ideology was disseminated into people. Now, what were the idea of Swadeshi movement? First, advocacy says Swadeshi or exhorting purchase to buy indigenous produced goods as a patriotic duty. That it is a patriotic duty to your land, that you need to only buy and purchase goods. Goods that are indigenously produced. Charkha, the spinning wheel, came to typify the popular concern for country's economic self-sufficiency. That if every individual in the country starts using charkha, then they are going to have a self-subsistence economic lifestyle, which will make them completely do away with all the foreign products. And holding of Swadeshi melas or fairs for selling handicraft and other articles became a regular feature. Rather than having markets, melas, which are the indigenous way of celebrating or way of transaction of goods, then became the benchmark for Swadeshi activity. The British threat to the students, so they started picketing the the foreign goods, and they started burning the foreign goods out in open. So in response to this, the British threat to the students picketers in the form of withdrawal of grants of scholarship, affiliation of the institution to which they belong, and actual imposition of fines and rustication orders. So they tried to first, and since students were humongously participating in Swadeshi movement, students, one thing that you have to understand, Swadeshi was started by the intellectuals, but it was run by students only. It was a very student-centric movement, and thus the Britishers decided that if they want to curb this movement, if they want to curb this movement, then the first thing that they have to do is remove the student participation. And they thought that with all these pressure measures, they're going to ensure that students are not part of it. However, we find that students still remain part of the movement. In fact, this led to development amongst the leaders of Swadeshi movement to boycott of schools and colleges, then led to formalizing a parallel education system in Bengal, which is going to be of indigenous nature. This led to establishment in 1906 of Bengal Technical Institute, which later came to be known as the Jagatpur University. Right now, the central heart of intellectual movement and education system in Bengal. Then another Bengal National College and School was set up on 15th August 1906 with Arvind Ghosh as its principal, and a number of national and primary secondary schools in the district. So this led to development of all these activities. However, we find that soon Swadeshi started disseminating. It could not be prolonged. It could not finally lead to something. And soon Lord Curzon also decided that he's not going to follow up with the idea of partition. And thus we find that the movement initially lost its context. The next, we are going to discuss about other revolutionary activities, small revolutionary activities here and there, which are not connected, which are not developed into a movement. So now we see that revolutionary activities started happening in the subcontinent as early as 1897, when Chapekar brothers of Pune, Damodar and Balakrishna had assassinated two British officers. In Maharashtra again, by 1905, B.D. Savarkar and his brother Ganesh had organized the Mitra Mela and Abhinav Bharat as secret societies. These were secret societies which were then using secret propagandas against the British rule. So they had already been established. However, in 1908, we find that two very young men, Khudiram Bose and Praful Chakki, then took the step of this revolutionary act further, and they threw a bomb on a carriage which they believed that Kingsford, the unpopular district judge of Muzaffarpur, was traveling. However, it was not him, but two British women who were in the carriage, and they died. And this led to the Britishers then using force to arrest these two men. Praful Chakki decided that he shot himself rather than getting arrested. Khudiram Bose was arrested, and later he was hanged. He was hanged at a very young age. The repression by the British triggered off the formation of several secret societies and a spate of assassination and what were termed as Swadeshi dacoits to raise funds for buying arms. As soon as this suppression started happening, we find that people then started developing secret society, more often the revolutionaries, and the Swadeshi dacoits started raiding police trains or doing dacoities on a lot of English goods and to raise funds for themselves or the army that they are. We have the beautiful incident of Kakori train incident that happened because they wanted to loot and plunder, do loot and plunder on one of the train which contains a lot of which used to transport revenue from one place to the other. So this led to development of all these revolutionary activities. In Bengal, which became the main center of revolutionary, the organization of revolutionary activities was spearheaded by Anushilan and Jugantar societies. These were two societies, again revolutionary society. In Pune, Nasik and Bombay, there were development of various revolutionary activities. In Madras, Vanchi Iyer of Bharat Mata Association assassinated an official who was responsible for firing on a crowd that was protesting the arrest of extremist leader Chidambaram Pillai. So now if we find that Indians have started gaining that courage of attacking an individual of the British society if those Britishers they found themselves to be more of a draconian or acted in a tyrannical way. Not just in India, in London also Madan Lal Dhingra killed Curzon Wiley, an Indian official, and Ras Behari Bose organized a daring attempt on the life of Viceroy Lord Hardinge as he entered Delhi on 23rd December 19. So Ras Behari Bose then tried to kill Viceroy Lord Hardinge. Imagine killing the Viceroy, he's the topmost power in the subcontinent. Ras Behari Bose tried to kill them. In all, it was estimated that 186 revolutionaries were either killed or convicted in the year of within 10 years. So we find that though the revolutionary activities were happening, rampantly happening, yet we find that they were easily curbed also, and we find the Britishers used more force to curb all these revolutionary activities, and thus we soon find that the extremist ideology of using force suddenly started losing ground amongst the popular people, among the masses, because masses now felt that if they are part of this extremist ideology, then their life is also a danger because they might also be taken away by the police. And thus we find that the extremist propaganda and extremist ideology then started losing ground. Now we're going to discuss one of the most amazing movement that happened, which I think is a study in itself, and I'm very sad that here it's not even mentioned, but that's known as Gadar movement, and this was one of the movement of 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 talking about independence in India, but did not happen, did not take place in India. That means it was not founded in India. The Gadar movement. The Gadar revolutionaries were recruited largely from the ranks of Punjabi immigrants who had settled on west coast of North America at least since 1905. So we find that a lot of immigrants, Punjabi immigrants, had started moving to North America and also to Canada and to parts of US also, San Francisco and all the places in the coastal areas. We find that a lot of Punjabi immigrants had started migrating. Now these Punjabi migrants were either people who have gathered, who are not from very rich class, they have education but yet they cannot find jobs, or they are landless peasants, and they have served the army, so they've acquired confidence and the means necessary for emigration. So, and especially from the region of Jalandhar and Hoshiarpur. Now they've migrated to another continent, and in that continent, though this continent is now independent continent, we have constitutional monarchy in Canada and we have independence in America. Yet Indians were not treated well because Indians were considered uh, as as the citizens of a country which was under slavery. So that is why we find that though the rights of equality was very high in US, yet Indians were not treated well because they were considered to be used to the differential behavior. So after this, after much of these Qadarites then getting along, in 1913 they decided to form a proper organization under the leadership of Lala Hardayal. Now Lala Hardayal was in political exile in US, and he was teaching at Stanford College. He was not teaching it as such, but conducting lectures at Stanford College, and he had come to US in 1911, and he assumed the leadership of immigrants Indian communities, and in May 1913 the need for central organization was met up with setting up Hindi Association in Portland, which later changed its name to Hindustan Gadar Party. Now, what was the idea of this Gadar Party? The idea of Gadar Party was that British rule could only be overthrown by armed revolt, and that for this to happen, it was necessary that Indian immigrants go to India in large number, carry this message to the masses and the soldiers of Indian Army. So now they have realized that they are here now. They know that their condition is pathetic because the Britishers are ruling their country. So first and foremost, they have to do is remove the British domain from India, and that could be only done through armed revolt. And what is necessary is that the immigrants have to go back to their country, tell the people that how other countries are free and what is the condition of free countries and what is the condition of a country which is under somebody's rule, and then also make sure that these message is passed on to the masses and also soldiers of Indian Army. Now, it was decided that this propaganda can only be assumed through a newspaper. Thus, a paper was launched called Gadar, which was launched on 1st November 1913. The first issue was in Urdu, followed a month later in Gurmukhi. Now, the entire name of the movement, Gadar, means it means revolt, that you have to create commotion. On its mass, they created a very organized sort of a structure. Now they created a paper. In that paper, they had certain symbols. So the symbol, the masthead of their symbol had a caption, Angrezi Raj ka Dushman, or an enemy of the British. Now, who are Gadarites? Gadarites are Angrezi Raj ka Dushman. So this is the ideology that the Gadarites are following. And in the first paper, on the first issue, they carried on bold letters something called Angrezi Raj Ka Kacha Chitta, an expose of British rule. In that, they had given 14 points enumerating the negative effects of British rule, talking about deindustrialization, talking about drain of wealth, talking about how Britishers are morally degrading the country, how are they oppressing. So all those points are being enumerating what exactly are the precise points where Britishers are subordinating the Indian subcontinent. Gadar was, of course, circulated widely amongst Indian migrants in North America, but it soon reached immigrants in Philippines, Hong Kong, China, Malay States, Singapore, Thailand, Trinidad, and Honduras, as well as Indian regiments stationed in many of these centers and also to India. So soon Gadar, now we had Rowlett Act being established in India, and Press Act also established in India, which curbed all sort of these revolutionary newspapers. Now, Gadar was being circulated widely in North America, but soon it was also circulated in Philippines, Hong Kong, China, and all the places where immigrants, Indians were there, and also it was sent to India, where the ideas of this exact expose of British rule. So this is how the Gadar was then being widely circulated. Uh, After this, we have how then it became a massive movement when there was arrest of Hardayal. Hardayal, the president of Gadar party, was arrested in North America on the basis of that these newspapers are being circulated in India. And then later he was taken to Switzerland and there he was released. So this created a lot of discomfort amongst the other people, the leaders of Gadar. Then the most important event that happened was Komagatu Maru incident, that a ship was trying to take immigrants from North America to India, and it reached Canadian shore, and Canadian government declined that it cannot let these people get down at their waters. So it was not this entire ship was people were not allowed to get out. After this, what had happened is then they had to then send back to India. It was decided that by this time the World War had started, so the British government had said that these are our citizens, so now we are going to take care of them, and they have to reach. We can only do anything if they can reach. It was a Japanese ship. It reaches Indian waters, that is in Calcutta. Now, this entire movement created a lot of buzz in the entire all the shows, because it shows that how Indians are being treated and how they are being treated just like shackle, just like cattle, and how none of the government, none of the Western governments are actually going to take care of them until and unless they are slaves. And the next is outbreak of First World War. For Gadarites, outbreak of First World War was very crucial because that is going to help them create a movement for overthrowing the British power. Next, what happened was that the immigrants had started deciding that they're going to come back to India and spread the ideas of Gadar. So a very important person called Kartar Singh Sarawa, he was very important in the US in Gadar movement, was reached safely to India, and he was set about the task of organizing and contacting, recruiting immigrants, holding meetings, and formulating a plan of action. However, the Gadarites were thoroughly disappointed by the people because people were not interested and their message were not being able to spread rapidly. Though they tried a lot, but it did not happen because it was not organized. Kartar Singh Saraba was hanged at the age of 19 for creating anti for sedition, and thus we find that most of the Gadar leaders were losing their ground in India. In February 1915, Raj Bihari Bose was contacted to start organization, though he tried, but police was set on Raj Bihari Bose. Bose managed to escape, but most of the other leaders of Gadar movement were arrested and they were crushed. So this is how the entire Gadar movement then came to an end. The next is Home Rule League that was started by two very important persons, Tilak and Annie Besant. This happened in 1916. We have studied that 1907 is when we have Surat split. After that, Tilak was sent to Burma for as punishment. After he came back from Burma, already we had the Surat split, so moderates and extremists were different. Now the movement in the nationalist fervor has started losing track. So Tilak tried to ensure that both the sides of the Congress could get along, but however that did not happen. Annie Besant also tried to do that. It did happen, but it did not reach to the level where more both of the segments were actually not in coherence with each other. So that's when it was decided that Annie Besant and Tilak are going to launch Home Rule League, that is Swaraj leagues are going to form, people who are going to fight for Swaraj. Then they demarcated to the areas. Tilak would take Maharashtra, Karnataka, Central Province and Berar, and Annie Besant rest of India. Now, Tilak Home Rule League launched at Bombay Provincial Conference held at Belgaum in April 1916. It had 6 branches, one in central Maharashtra, Bombay City, Karnataka, Central Province, and 2 in Berar. It published 6 pamphlets in Marathi and 2 in English, of which 47,000 copies were sold. Pamphlets were also brought out in Kannada and Gujarati, explaining what is the idea of Swaraj. Tilak wanted all regional languages and cultures to develop and argue for education to be imparted in vernaculars. He frontally opposed untouchability. So there were several ideas that they were trying to incorporate through this. They were trying to talk about League, that means Swaraj, idea of Swaraj, and how regional language needs to be taught, needs to be imparted, and also he was attacking untouchability and talking about a religious harmony. So these were the ideas that Tilak was talking in his pamphlets, and through that he was talking about how Indians can establish their own rule in their own country. Annie Besant League also has been very active even before the Leagues was formally inaugurated in September 1916. The propaganda fund has sold 3 lakh copies of 26 English pamphlets discussing mainly system of government existing in India and the reason for demand of self-government. Why is the demand of self-government important? More pamphlets in Indian language were bought, and out local branches organized lectures and discussion and set up libraries. Now, these home rule leagues also succeeded in enlisting support of many moderates congressmen who were now unhappy with the lack of activity, because by this time Congress had started losing its track because there was no leadership and no new ideas. So most of the moderates congressmen also started joining Home Rule League because this is where discussion, debates, how to change things were happening. And soon we find that Home Rule League became the central force of talking about change. But eventually we had death of Tilak, and also Annie Besant had to leave active politics, and we had coming of Gandhi, which then became a very important benchmark in Indian history. With this, we come to an end of this topic, and I hope if you have any problem, please get back to me. And thank you, students.